When strolling through central Jakarta, you have probably seen this iconic monument, or any of these other historic works of architecture. Now, did you know that all of these icons of Jakarta have something in common? They were born out of one political policy implemented by President Soekarno himself, called Politik Mercusuar. Let's go back in time to unpack the histories and controversies behind Politik Mercusuar. Politik Mercusuar is an international political policy that was implemented during the Demokrasi Terpimpin era in order to make Indonesia a lighthouse or a shining light for NAFO countries, as well as to gain international recognition. In 1951 and 1954, Indonesia proposed to be the host of Asian Games. Both attempts were rejected due to the lack of sport infrastructure in the country at that time. Finally, in 1958, Indonesia was accepted and appointed to be the host of the 1962 Asian Games. President Soekarno spared no expense. He planned several large projects to prepare the facilities and to build Indonesia's image in the 1962 Asian Games. Before the project started, the national economic condition was already at a low. This condition was only worsened by the Mercusuar projects, causing the state spendings to soar without an adequate source of income. On March 5, 1960, Soekarno disbanded the House of Representatives because they only agreed to 36 billion of the 44 billion rupiah that he proposed for the state budget plan. He then responded by creating DPR-GR to replace the previous House of Representatives elected in the 1955 election. Other than that, Muhammad Hatta also expressed his disapproval over Soekarno's policies. But despite all of that, the Mercusuar project still continued, funded by war reparation funds from Japan as well as loans from the Soviet Union. In preparation for the 1962 Asian Games, GBK Sports Complex was built. Gelora Bung Karno, or GBK, is a sports complex located in Senayan with a lavish stadium called Stadion GBK, which was inspired by the Lenin Stadium that Soekarno saw on his visit to Moscow. GBK Stadium was designed by L.S. Tyatenko, the same architect that designed the Lenin Stadium, and had a capacity of 110,000 when it first opened. Next, Hotel Indonesia was built. This hotel is the first 5-star hotel in Indonesia and was built to accommodate international visitors for the Asian Games. This hotel became the first milestone of tourism in Indonesia. Patung Selamat Datang, or Welcome Statue, was also built to greet Asian Games guests and other international visitors on their way to Hotel Indonesia. Lastly, Jembatan Semanggi or Semanggi Bridge is a clover-shaped bridge built to anticipate traffic jams due to the 1962 Asian Games. Outside of the 1962 Asian Games, the government also built Monas, the national monument, to commemorate Indonesia's independence. And Gedung DPR-MPR, the House of Representatives building, intended to be used in the 1966 NAFO conference. The exclusion of Taiwan and Israel in the 1962 Asian Games earned threats and suspension from the International Olympics Committee. This pushed President Soekarno to create a new sporting event called GANEFO, with participants from other newly emerging forces or NAFO countries. This effort was short-lived. GANEFO was a direct counter to the Olympic Games, therefore no country was actually represented by their National Olympics Committee, as it might cause IOC reprisals and spoil their chance to compete in the Olympic Games. Because of that, GANEFO ended in 1970. Politik Mercusuar heavily impacted the country, especially in the economic sector. These large, expensive projects caused severe inflation and caused the price of basic necessities to skyrocket. This will go on to be one of the contributing factors of the 1966 student demonstrations, which became the uproar that ended the Demokrasi Terpimpin era. Like all history, Mercusuar political policy is not all black and white. This policy successfully completed many large projects, proving Indonesia to be a capable country. brought to life some of the most iconic buildings in Jakarta until this day, and became the gateway for tourism in Indonesia. On the other hand, this policy failed to reflect the people's needs at the time and showed just how easy it was for leaders to deviate from democracy. As modern citizens and future leaders, we must take written history and use it as our guiding light into building a brighter future.